Hello. Hi. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, awesome. Thank you, Paige, and thank you for showing up. Super. I'm excited. I had a last minute kerfuffle and it was just it was a thing, but I'm letting it go. I'm letting it go. Out goes the bad air. In comes the good air. Abby Jean. Yes, it came with matching earrings. I was very excited. As you can see, it is red. I'm, doing the whole very pale pink and red thing. I think I saw Hello Kitty do it once. And, if Hello Kitty's not my fashion icon, I don't know who is. Mhm. And I have the new short hair. It's bouncing and behaving. Thank you. Thank you, Paige. I didn't know if you were here for the. If you were here for the first two live streams, you didn't comment. I don't know if you had a chance to watch them back, but I had a different tiara. I had the same one for two live streams in a row, and now I'm moving on for now. Let it go. Let it go. We're breathing. We're breathing. I didn't have my glasses on, Abby Jean, and so when you said love the hair, I was reading it as love the tiara, and then I saw mine is thigh length, and that I couldn't quite picture that. Megan's here! Yay! Thank you. I like it. I like it. I'm glad you guys do too. Uh okay, so little scattered. I had that last minute panic because when I go live with YouTube, it doesn't automatically happen. You have to push a button, and I couldn't find the button, and yeah. Then the love of the hair. Yeah, but then I read it as I love the tiara minus thigh length. And I was like, she has a thigh length tiara. I don't know if I really, really want to see that or really, really don't want to see that. And then I realized you were talking about your hair. Yeah, mine was super long. It was not thigh length, but it was a little bit past my waist, not down to quite down to the hips. And I just wanted to have it wasn't holding a curl anymore. So, Okay, so we've got Paige and Megan and Abby Jean. All the cool kids are here. There's somebody I okay, there's three people. So I was going to say if there's somebody who's here but not commenting. My sister said once more she wasn't able to make the scene. She didn't get very much sleep last night, so it's a disordered sleeping thing. So how's everybody doing this evening? Yeah, I mean, Paige is saying, "Oh my goodness, that's long. I can understand not wanting to cut it." She's saying that to Abby Jean. Yeah, that is commitment. I mean, when was the last time you had a significant amount cut off? Oh, and Megan says she's doing great, and it was so fun getting the book from me. Well, I'm glad you got it. I had a little bit of a wrinkle with Amazon.ca, but happened in the end, so that's good. I know Paige is supposed to be getting something from me today, if she hasn't already. They took 5 inches when you told them 1? Oh, wow. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere about people thinking something that's long is really short. I don't know. I'm saying there is a size of a person's manhood joke in there somewhere, but I'm too flustered to find my way to it. Paige says, doing good. Just got a little book from you delivered about 5 minutes ago. Thank you so much. You're welcome so much. Like I said, it's nice to be nice to the nice. And You're always so kind about Heartfelt Haven. So, yeah. Okay. Just I had the window open because I have these lights. I'm in a small room. Oh yeah, I'm in a different room, by the way, in case you hadn't figured that out. It's different. hmm hmm Anyway, I had to open the window because the door is closed. It's a small room. I've got these lights on me. So even though it's really cold outside, I had to open the window. And now I can hear coyotes off in the distance. I didn't even know there were Connecticut coyotes, but apparently there are. Paige says, I love Heartfelt Haven. It's where my mind goes when I need a little break from work. I mean, it is supposed to be kind of like a happy space where stress doesn't exist. Where the only stress you have is picking a book or an additive to your punch or cocoa. Megan says, also, Abby, I had a little problem when I ordered a book for you. So hopefully you don't get the same book twice. Yeah, that would be awkward. On the other hand, you could have it be both in your car and in your house at the same time, or you could have it upstairs and downstairs. I mean, I have an upstairs toothbrush and a downstairs toothbrush, upstairs book, downstairs book, and they'd be the same. I do occasionally end up with dupes uh, from getting all the step backs, but yeah. Oh, fourth person has joined. I don't know if they are going to be commenting or if they just want to observe. It's all good. Now, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did all of this setting up and I forgot my notebook. So if you guys can hang on while I run and get my notebook, because I can't do this without it. Sorry about that. Abby Jean says to Megan, oh, okay, I'll let you know and work it out. If I do, thank you so much. Okay, and Abby Jean sending something to Megan, for which Megan is grateful. Oh, Abby's asking Megan if she had to pay for shipping because she's in Canada. Because I had to pay shipping with Amazon.ca. I had to pay shipping because I'm not a Prime member in Canada. And they offered me a 30-day trial, but those can be so hard to get in and out of that I just decided to just pay for the shipping. Anyway, my little tale of woe is that when I was setting up, I was doing all of these lighting and hair and makeup tests, tiara tests, everything. Finally had everything exactly the way I wanted it. And I realized that my phone was running on battery and had been for over an hour with the camera constantly on because my recharging cable is on its last legs. So I had to frantically scramble at the last minute to do this with my webcam. I'm back on the webcam. And so I'm a little scattered, still breathing in the good air and pushing out the bad air. And Megan says she did it through US Amazon. So, yes, there was shipping, but then I was able to pay in Canadian dollars and they converted it for me. I made it, though. I made it. And I have the notebook. I'm doing tags tonight. I'm doing these, cozy Christmas tags and the 12 days of Christmas tags. And it was going to be, it was not going to go great if I didn't have my notes. Megan says, oh, Sock, relax. It's just us. Oh, I'm not worried about you judging me. I'm worried about me judging me. I'm also worried about my father judging me, which is a little strange because he's been dead since 1999. But, childhood wounds do not heal so quickly. He was mostly a great guy, but kind of harsh. Okay. Now, before I start with the tags and whatnot, and oh, yes. Oh, Paige says, you're all good, Sock. It's the kickoff of the Christmas holiday. We're allowed to be a little scattered. Yeah, I'll mellow out. It was the realizing I didn't have my notebook. I was just like, what a basic thing to forget. Anyway, cheers. Tonight it is a Oreo Coca-Cola Zero as opposed to a cherry Coca-Cola Zero. So thought I'd switch it up a little, and that's what I could get at Dollar Tree. Mm. Excuse me, I got it at Dollar General. I know that was an important distinction to make. Abby Jean says, ooh, but I'm not sure in reference to what. Okay. Now, before I get started with my tags and whatnot, I wanted to share something, and that was the gift that Abby Jean got me. Hopefully I'm not embarrassing her. She got me postcards, and I don't know if any of you saw that I had postcards on my wish list. Oh, my drink. Abby Jean was talking about my drink. I had postcards on my wish list. I had a couple of different kinds of postcards, and the idea was that I could finally use the postcards to make that challenge about leaving something in a public book from the December Christmas challenge list, that I could finally make that happen with postcards. So Abby Jean sent me this beautiful package of postcards. There we go. We got butterflies, and we've got this old-fashioned balloon. And in the note I had on my request for postcards, I said that I would use these to, I would put them in library books across the great state of Connecticut or even beyond, and just hope that people from the Discord who are interested would tell me like which kind of postcard they wanted, butterflies, or this Pisces kind of zodiac thing, something like that, and tell me what book to put it in, and if they wanted a message on it. So Abby Jean got to kick that program off because I was going to the library this morning, and she asked me to put a card that was the Three of Swords tarot card. She asked me to write a little message on the back of it and put it in a copy of Evocation by S.T. Gibson if I could find a copy on the shelf, which I did, and it got placed. And so that was a nice start to the whole project. And since there are 59 more postcards here, it'll take me a while to get through them. And anybody is welcome to make suggestions about where I can put them within reason in a book. And Abby Jean says the heroine in Evocation is a tarot reader, so I thought it was apt. Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It was the Three of Swords, though. That's a harsh one. It's like if you're having emotional difficulties, you don't want the Three of Swords or the Nine or Ten of Swords. And if you're having financial issues, you do not want the Five of Pentacles. Ooh, boy, that's not good. No, you do not like it. Abby's pointing out that yes, but there is a silver lining. Yeah. Well, there usually is for something or another. Okay, so I have these postcards, and I'll just be, people can leave suggestions in books that you might want me to leave them in, or even libraries I could go to. There's one in here that's really cute, but it's hard to shuffle through them. There are like so many of them. Thought I had sorted these a little bit better. Oh well. Yeah, here we go. Here's one that's very cute with the illustration. And the caption on the illustration reads, "But drunken louts coming home very late were often caught." And this is what they look like. The drunken louts. Okay. So anyway, so I have these very, very cool postcards. Some of them they're just gorgeous, really. So if everybody's all settled in, are we ready to start with the tags and whatnot? Yes. Megan's like, yes, let's do it. Let's do this thing. Okay. Now, I'm doing two different tags that are kind of related. They're Christmassy tags, although I'm not using a lot of Christmassy books. It's just that the theme of the questions and the prompts for these books is Tarot Talks books, are one of our glorious and fearless leaders, she did a video for each of these tags, and I have them linked in the description box, the little doobly-doo down there. So if you want to check out what she had to say for these prompts, it's a darn good time, I'm telling you. Okay, so the first one is, oh, Paige also said yes. I am starting. The first one is the Cozy Christmas book tag, and there are eight prompts, questions, whatever you want to call them here. And of course, if anybody has anything they want to add or share in response to any of these prompts, that is awesome, because I don't know about anybody else, but I'm always looking for recs, because just because I own hundreds of books and have access to a lot of different libraries doesn't mean I can't always expand my TBR. It's just magical that way. It's bigger on the inside. So the first prompt is, this is again the Cozy Christmas book tag, Twinkling Lights, the most beautiful book you own. Okay, well, this is one I just got recently for my birthday in November from my sister, which I requested it. And it kind of fits in with what we were just talking about. It is a book called S, and it's by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. Now, J.J. Abrams is the television and filmmaker. He's the guy who created or co-created Alias, Lost, his Star Trek reboot, worked on Star Wars. His daughter is a pop star called Gracie Abrams, I believe is her name. Anyway, this is very cute. It's very cute. It's very pretty. It comes in a slipcover because it's about a fake book called The Ship of Theseus by a fictitious author called V.M. Straka, or Straka. And you can see it is actually allegedly from a library. It has a Dewey Decimal call number on it, even though it's supposed to be from a college library. Anyway, you can see it says book for loan. It is very cool. Yes, Megan says that's so cool. It is. Now, the idea is that somebody's doing work on this book. It's a very mysterious book. Nobody knows very much about the book or the author. And there's a graduate, I think he's a graduate student, working on it. And another student who's working as a page in the library finds it when she's reshelving books, and she starts leaving notes for him in it. Yeah, the lighting is not ideal because I had to scramble at the last minute. Let's see if I can do this in a way. I have too much glare. Anyway, there are these, there we go. There are these notes in there. And yeah, Abby Jean says, nice, she loves mixed media, and that's exactly what it is. So for example, here we have this note. If found, please return to workroom B19, main library, Pollard State University. And then somebody writes in, hey, I found your stuff while I was shelving. It looks like you left in a hurry. I read a few chapters and loved it. Felt bad about keeping the book from you, though, since you obviously need it for your work. Have to get my own copy. And it's signed Jen. And the person responds, here, if you liked it, you should finish it. I need a break anyway. Leave it on the last shelf in the south stacks when you're finished. Okay, so they have this conversation back and forth in the book. And then they start leaving things for one another. Paige says it's a fun concept. I'm intrigued. They start leaving things for one another, and they start researching this book and finding stuff. And so just a few pages in, this is separate from the book. Oh no, I dropped something and I don't know where it belongs. Okay. Anyway, there's this photostat of a memo in German with an English translation. And as you go through the book, there is handwritten on legal documents, on legal paper. You get postcards. Yeah. Oh, and this beautiful one of birds, Brazil. And there's somewhere in here, there's a photograph of somebody's relative. It's a picture that was supposed to have been taken in, I think, 1948 or something. Anyway, so it's got all of this stuff in it. So it's like a discovery kind of thing. And if you're familiar with J.J. Abrams' work, with Alias and Lost in particular, he always enjoyed what he called a puzzle box narrative, where there's always something new to discover and figure out. And that's very much what this book is. So it's gorgeous and I love it. And I think it's probably among the most beautiful books I own. Megan says, wow, I love this. I loved Lost and the Mystery. What was the book called again? Okay, it's just called S. And it's by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. The fake book is called Ship of Theseus. But the book itself, if you're looking for it in a bookstore or whatever, it's going to be called S. And yeah. I didn't do a very good job of putting this stuff away. Okay, I don't want to wreck it. So that's the most beautiful book I own. I mean, I have some other gorgeous books. So, and Abby Jean says, that's really cool. I also loved Lost. Yeah, no, yeah, that I like that show. That was a fun show. Let's see. Okay, so that was the first prompt. I'm ready to move on to the next one, unless somebody wanted to talk about a particularly beautiful book that they own. Okay, well, I'll move on, and if somebody wants to say something, just go ahead and do so, and I'll catch up with you. Okay, the second question is prompt, I should say. The perfect tree. Will you pay more to get the prettiest edition of a book? You know, all these special editions that, you know, Fairy Loot does, and, you know, that you can get directly from the author, or if you go to a special convention, a signing convention or something. I would normally say that what's important to me is what's inside the book. However, that was before B got her hooks into me with the step backs. And I am going to demonstrate why and how I would pay maybe a little bit more for a prettier edition of a book. Because, okay, if you were here for the first live stream, you will remember our old pal Joanna Lindsay and the book Until Forever. This is the non-step back edition, which I checked out from the library. As you can see, and Megan says only if it's from a favorite author or an all-time favorite. Yeah. Well, this is the non-step back of Until Forever by Joanna Lindsay. I got this from the library, and it's mass market paperback. It has the same information as the step back. However, it's this kind of bright, not very attractive to me, to my eyes, acid yellow. And you have the purple strip down the side because it was at one time a step back, and then this edition isn't, but they still keep that strip there for reasons. And it's just, yeah, and you can see on the side, on the spine, you can see what the step back looks like, but that's all you get. However, if you look at the step back, not only do you get the step back with it, but it is this beautiful gold foiling with the embossed lettering. This lettering is not embossed, it's just flat. And you could just see it's kind of night and day. You've got this kind of bright yellow versus this foiling. And of course, I can't resist an opportunity to show it off. You have the step back. Oh, yeah. That is a sword, and he is happy to see her. So yeah, I would throw a few extra pennies toward getting the step back over the not so step back. Paige says, I'm with you, Megan. It has to be a top favorite for me to spend more for a special edition. Yeah, I mean, sometimes those are like really expensive. Now, when you're buying mass markets, most places don't bother to charge more for a step back, so it's not really I'm not actually having to spend more to get the step back, but I might if I had the opportunity to buy just the non-step back for $3 and the step back for $4. I'd probably throw the extra buck toward that. Okay. So that was the second one. The third, oh, build a snowman, make a Christmas book stack. And they said that the stack could be either a color or a theme. I went with color. And you may recall for the last two live streams, we were in the other room where the tree, oops, I jostled it so you can't see the tree in here. The tree in here is basically pink and gold and white. And the other tree, I mean, the tree itself is green, but the other tree is green, but the ornaments are blue and silver and white. So I did a stack celebrating those colors, which was a little tricky because it's easy to find gold paperbacks, but silver is a little, at least in my collection, it's a little trickier. But I managed to get together a respectable blue and white and silver stack. Let me get back where you can see the actual colors. Beautiful. Abby says, beautiful tree. I noticed it earlier. Thank you. I like them both for different reasons. But oh, yeah. And here's the gingerbread person in honor of Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. I thought I'd point that out. Anyway, so here is the blue and white stack. Just a quick, you may recognize, Abby says, love that. He's the only gingerbread individual on this tree, but there are a couple more on the tree downstairs. So, he'll hang out with them later. So here we have, Megan says, so pretty. I don't know if she's talking about the stack or the tree. I like them both. And just a quick run through of what the books are. We start off with blue, which has got some nice silver lettering. Paige says, I like that you have two trees, double the decorating fun. Well, actually, I have the blue and silver white tree in my bedroom, pink and gold one in here. And then downstairs, we have the big tree where we put all of like the sentimental ornaments and the stuff that we've collected over our travels and stuff like that aren't color coded. They're just ornaments we like. And then we have like the permanent Christmas tree, which has some Raggedy Ann doll ornaments on it, and we don't want to put it in the attic because I don't know if you know what happens when you put dolls in the attic, but it just does not end well for the residents of the house. Anyway, so this is this one actually has white and silver lettering and a silver stripe, infamous by Virginia Henley. And even though this is a stripe that's not stepped back, there is a step back, hubba hubba. In front of a mirror, I would never. And then we have this one that's white with blue lettering. That's Laura Kinsale, For My Lady's Heart. Also a step back. Got another big old sword that is probably means something. Then blue and white, Virginia Henley again, Desired. And then Stephanie Lawrence, The Designs of Lord Randolph Kavanaugh. That's blue with white lettering. Also a step back. That's something you don't see every day in a step back. They've all more or less got their clothes on. And then this one is literally silver. That's the name of the book, and it's got silver foiling and blue lettering. Silver by Penny Jordan. This is a contemporary, at least contemporary for when it was written in 1989. It's kind of romantic suspense, and it has a strong element of like digital cyber forensics and crime. So that's why it's got this sort of pixelated effect. And then we have Blue and White Rebel by Heather Graham. More problematic Civil War fun. And Abby Jean says, cool. Whippoorwill by Sharon Sala. This is the one about the sex worker who has the preacher die in her bed. Well, he's not a preacher, but she doesn't know that. And then she gets the town drunk to sober up and pretend to be the preacher. I still haven't taken the orange tag off of it, but you may remember that from that first live stream I did a couple of weeks back. So that's my blue and white and silver stack. Rapid fire step backs. Okay, next up. Oh, I should ask, does anybody like do a color theme to their tree, or they just put up the stuff they like? Megan says, oh, the infamous book. You know, it occurred to me that this infamous book, if I could find it again, is all about deception, deceit, and whatnot. So I could certainly read this for that prompt. Unless I've already committed, I guess, to reading Deception's Desire, Desire's Deception, whatever the other one was that was at least shorter and it's getting on toward the end of the month. Abby Jean says, we did red and gold this year. Classic. It is. It really is. Just need to take a moment to stretch and hopefully not tilt the tiara completely off my head. Okay. I'm moving on to the next prompt, which is Crackling Fire. What book makes you feel warm and cozy? Okay, well, I chose an author rather than a book. And this is going to be kind of counterintuitive, and I'm probably going to come across as being, you know, I'm not like other readers, but I picked the author Stephen King for my warm and cozy. This is a Stephen King companion that somebody wrote. Oh, Paige says mine is red and black plaid with farmhouse country ornaments. Nice. And Megan says, I don't have a tree to decorate, but next year will be my first in my own home with my soon-to-be husband. I can't wait to decorate. She's giving a smile. Well, we did briefly see your fiance the other day, and I just shook up the tree. We're not having an earthquake. That was just me shifting on the couch. Maybe it'll be like a red and black check kind of plaid flannel kind of deal. Flannel Christmas tree. That's cozy. I mean, look at Paige. So anyway, my warm and cozy author is Stephen King. And like I said, I know that sounds kind of, oh, I'm not like other readers. But the reason for that is that I know that when I pick up a Stephen King book, I'm probably not going to be disappointed in it. Although he's probably going to deal with difficult topics and gore and whatnot, the way he writes about those topics and my own sensibility match up in a way that I know it's not going to be distressing for me to read about. I'm not going to read it and feel demeaned in any way, the way I do with some writers. And I'm not going to feel like I'm in for a bad literary experience. So that's why I say I kind of pick Stephen King as my feeling cozy. And also when the characters on the page are going through it and I'm, you know, curled up with my hot water bottle, that's kind of cozy. Oh, Paige says, you'll have so much fun decorating with the hubby. So excited for you, Megan. It is very exciting. So exciting. Wow. Just think, yeah, this time next year, you're going to be all married and cozied up and have joint ownership of Christmas as you start your own family traditions. Very exciting. Okay, so that was my justification for Stephen King as my author who makes me feel warm and cozy. Okay. The next prompt, I don't know if anybody has any warm and cozy recs to share. Okay, well, I'll move on. And if you think of something, just throw it in the comments and I'll. Oh, Paige says, my cozy author is Sarah Addison Allen. She always has a bit of whimsy in her stories, and it's like getting a big hug. Sarah, I like a bit of whimsy in case you hadn't guessed, so I'll have to write this down. Sarah Addison Allen. Sarah Addison Is this romance or? Okay. Oh, Abby Jean says, I really enjoyed Jenna Wolfhart's Falling for Fables Cozy Romantasy series. Paige says romance women's fiction. Got it. Okay, so that's Jenna Wolfhart. Jenna Wolfhart. And Megan says, I recently read The Crescent Moon Tea Room and The Spell Shop. Both were very cozy. Were those both by the same writer? And The Spell Shop. See, I have to have my notebook, not just for my own reference, but because I need to write down this stuff. I mean, I could always come back and watch it later. Let's see, that was okay. The next prompt is by Sarah Beth Durst. Okay, so they are by the same writer. Cool. The next is Knee High Socks, the longest book you've read. Well, if we're talking lifetime, that would be the HarperCollins Study Bible. I went to graduate school. I'm not religious. I'm not Christian, but I did go to a Christian divinity school for graduate school. So it was kind of neat because this is the new revised standard version of the Bible. And a lot of the professors at my divinity school had actually worked on this as translators and commentators. Abby Jean says, Megan says, no, The Crescent Moon Tea Room by Stacy Zavinsky and The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. Got it. Okay. And Abby Jean says, cozy romantasy fits my craving for a book that starts in the Shire and stays in the Shire. We don't always have to go on an epic quest. Sometimes the epic quest is just building a new coffee shop or bookstore, like in the Travis Baldry books. Yep. Megan says, Abby Jean, yes. Sometimes I just want to read a book where they just kind of hang out. And I just want to explore the world without like there being mortal peril at every turn. I just, I don't, just have a good time hanging out. And Paige also agrees. So yeah, I think we all would like to see that, this sort of sandbox kind of a deal. Anyway, so yeah, longest book in my life, it's going to be the Bible. Like I said, a lot of my professors had actually worked on this thing. Now, as Bibles go, this is kind of lengthy because it has a lot. It's a study Bible, so it's got a lot of footnotes, like all of this space. It's unwieldy. All of this space down here is like notes on the translation and cultural context and stuff like that. So it's and I certainly didn't read it cover to cover, like over, like in a row. It was like I took different classes in biblical interpretation as part of my degree requirements. So yeah, so that's the longest in my lifetime. The longest in the last year, though, is also a bit of a doorstop. It is The Mystery by Matthew McIntosh, the mystery.doc, I should say. And this sucker is 1,660 pages. However, it's meant to look kind of, you have some pages that are just like your kind of standard text, but you have a lot of pages that are photographs. So there's like one photograph here and the facing page is blank. A lot of that going on. And then you have like a lot of blank space. And the idea is that this guy is using the computer while he's working on his great American novel. So you see like pop-up ads and stuff like that. So while it is 1,660 pages, not all of those pages are text. and not all of the page is text. But it is still the longest book I've read this year. Ugh. I can hear sirens. I hope everybody's okay. It's so quiet. It's too quiet. Ah, and Abby Jean says, excluding the Canterbury Tales for School, I read Second Life, a 1,000-page Snape Hermione fanfic in 2022. Those fanfics can get so long, and if you're reading them as a work in progress, you don't necessarily realize. It's like the next thing you know, oh wow, I just read 900,000 words of fanfic over the last couple of years, and it just snuck up on me. Megan says, my longest book this year was Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, 1,200 pages. Yeah, he gets paid by the pound, I think. So yeah, when you start getting into fantasy, this is what fantasy intimidates me for that reason, is that you have these really long books, or they're mass markets and they're long and they have very, very small print. Looking at you, Robin Hobb. I hear you're a great author, but I'll probably never find out for myself. Paige says, the longest I've ever read was Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, about 1,100 pages. Yeah, that's a monster. And I think, weren't there sequels and follow-ups and so on that just kind of expanded on that? Okay, so that is, okay. We're about to have a question that is delving, is going to end up delving into a little bit of a heavy topic. And you thought the HarperCollins Study Bible was a heavy topic, a heavy book. The sixth prompt on this Cozy Christmas book tag list is, oh, wait. Paige says there were, but they took place over the following centuries. Yeah, it was like, yeah, I mean, it was the Pillars of the Earth. It was building, was it Salisbury Cathedral? It was some kind of cathedral. Yeah. I thought it was Salisbury, maybe not. I didn't read it myself, but my mom and my sister both did. Okay, so this is the next one. And this is, like I said, this is going to get a little heavy because the prompt is ugly sweater. What is the ugliest book that you own? Well, I think a book is ugly because of what it contains, not necessarily because of the way it looks. And I try not to keep anything truly ugly in my house. However, for a while, I had an historical curiosity. My mother worked in a public library, and people will donate books to public libraries that they don't quite know what to do with. And one of the donations they got was an historical artifact. And they gave it to me because I'm an historian. And they didn't know what else to do with it. It was something called Das Deutsche Hausbuch, which is German, and it means the German house book or the German home book, depending on how you translate it. And it was hardcore propaganda from a certain political party that was in control of a certain Central European country for 12 years, between 1933 and 1945. There was a war about it and everything. And this was hardcore propaganda for that political party. And it's, I suppose, an important historical document. And I kept it for a long time. And then finally, do I know German or any other languages? Yeah, I'm okay with German. I have some French and un poco, un pequeño Spanish, Espanol. But anyway, that was one of the reasons they gave it to me, was they knew I could read it. If you want to read that kind of thing. Anyway, I finally was just like, I can't have this anymore. And so I threw it away. I didn't burn it, but I did throw it away. And I will say that before I actually just threw it away, I did check to make sure that the academic libraries in the area had copies of it. Otherwise, I would have given it to one of the academic libraries, but they all had copies of it. So I literally just threw it in the trash, which is frankly where it belongs. I mean, we do have to study it as historians, but I don't have to keep it in my house. So that was kind of a little bit heavier than this cozy Christmas book tag that you were probably um, thinking it was going to get. Yeah, but I do speak German. I lived in Germany for about 6.5 years. I went to an American high school in Germany. So I had an opportunity to learn it while I was living there, watching German TV and reading German newspapers and so on. But I haven't, I moved from Germany like well over 30 years ago. I don't get to use it very often. Every once in a while, I'll meet up with a German tourist or something and be able to talk to them. Megan says, oh, Happy Jean says, I actually burnt Canterbury Tales because it's awful too. And Megan says, good for you eventually getting rid of it. Don't need that around you. Yeah, when I first had it, I wasn't sure exactly what my specialty was going to be. And I did do some work on authoritarian regimes and authoritarian governments. But again, I didn't need it in the house. You know, like I said, you can get this from academic libraries. You don't need to keep your own copy of it. So, yes. And so, I mean, it is hard to just throw a book away, but I think if any book can be thrown away, it is propaganda from that particular uh, political party. Okay, so now that we've had that charming holiday conversation, moving on. Okay, the next tag is Blizzards, a book set in winter or that gives you the chills or has dark themes. Okay, so yeah, we're not quite cheerful, but at least we're not talking about authoritarian regimes. Now, I read this one just a few weeks back. It was I read it because I wanted something for Instagram that was for Black Friday, so the day after American Thanksgiving, which this year I think was like the Black Friday was the 29th, I want to say, because Thanksgiving was pretty late and American Thanksgiving was pretty late this year. Uh, so it's this candlelight ecstasy romance from the 80s. I think it was 1982, I want to say. 1982. And the author's name is Jackie Black. So that was my Black Friday book, and it's Winter Wind, so I figured it was going to be wintry. Actually, it's a blizzard that takes place in like the last weekend in March of the year, so it was wintry, but it wasn't like Christmas wintry. And the reason I chose this is partially because it's set in winter. I mean, this lady, her car breaks down in the middle of a blizzard and she gets stranded, and this guy rescues her, takes her back to his house, and then like the power's down, the phones are out, and how are they going to pass the time? They'll figure something out. The thing is that even by 1982 standards, the male-female relationships in this book were not great. He's like a total jackass, and yeah, it was he lies to her for there's this miscommunication. It's not even a miscommunication because he's deliberately misleading her for no good reason. And then he explains it and it's supposed to be okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. It's just really not. And then I was like, well, this was published in 1982 and he's supposed to be 35 and she's supposed to be 25. So that means that they would have been born like in 1947 and 1957 respectively. Still doesn't excuse it. Like 1947 and 1957 respectively. Still doesn't excuse it. My parents didn't treat each other like that. They were older than that. So yeah, anyway, so it was cold and it kind of gave me the chills because I'm like, oh, this is not going to be a good relationship, especially for her, but probably not for either of them. So anyway, that's the risk you run when you read those older romances. Abby Jean says, all the books I've read this month have been Christmas books. Most have been 4 or 5 stars. Wonderful reading month. Great. I've read a lot of great Christmas books this month too. I'm not reading anymore, but they were good. I have to say, I am a little burned out on Christmas romance. So I might take a day or two to read some thrillers or something and then go back and finish off the last of my Christmas TBR. Paige says, The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. It gave me the creeps. It's a horror novel, so I should have known it was not a read at night book. Yeah, Jennifer McMahon has a nice line in those. They take place usually in New Hampshire, Vermont, or some combination thereof, because that's where I don't know if that's where she was originally from, but that's where she lives now. Yeah, The Winter People. I'm pretty sure I read that one. I know I've read a fair number by her. So nice. Okay, there's one more prompt here, unless Megan had something she wanted to say about books that gave you the chills and or were set in the winter. Oh, Abby Jean has story time for us. I went to pick up The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon from the library, and I picked up another book with the same title but by a different author unknowingly, then read the whole thing. Was it any good, though? Paige says, I'll read her books, just not at night anymore. Yeah, that's probably for the best. And not when you're planning to, there was one, I don't know if it's The Winter People or something else, but there was a home renovation gone awry. So don't read any of those when you're planning to renovate. But anyway, Abby Jean, did it turn out that the book was any good, or was it just like, gotta take a moment to stretch. It was a YA, Abby Jean says, it was a YA fae book. I actually really enjoyed it, but I kept expecting it to get scary and it never did. But yeah, I still think about it occasionally. Great. So, serendipity. Did you ever actually go back and read The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon? Nope. She says nope. Well, you still have something to look forward to then, I guess. Okay, there's one more prompt for this list, and that is Home for the Holidays. And this one, they said, is specifically for rereaders. Books that make you feel like going home. And that would be Oz, Now and Forever. Mm. Mm. I didn't know these editions. This is volume 1 of the complete collection, and I think there are like three books in each volume. It includes The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which was the first one, The Marvelous Land of Oz, which was the second one, and Ozma of Oz, which was the third. And I actually saw this at a library sale a few months ago, and I hadn't seen this edition before. And I looked at it and I was like, it was like literally, it was like seeing an old friend in a new dress. It was like, oh, hi, you look fabulous. Oh, you look great. The only thing I don't like about this edition is that it doesn't have the illustrations, with, Ozma looking and Dorothy looking all dolled up and everybody looking so handsome. And so I actually, at that sale, I found a couple of the editions, and then I asked for the rest of them for my birthday. Oh, they're just so pretty. Ooh. I know I said that the book by J.J. Abrams was the most beautiful book I own, but oh well, I just knocked one of them over the floor. But there's the Cowardly Lion. Oh, they're just gorgeous. I love them, and I love the content too. So that, like I said, when I saw it, it was just like seeing an old friend. Made me so happy. And I didn't actually have any of my own copies. I did have them on Kindle, but I didn't have it physical copies, so that was nice. Megan says, such pretty editions. Yeah. I know. And oh yeah, this is the volume 5, and that's the undersea palace city from Glinda of Oz. And here's one I knocked on the floor. I knocked it on the floor like it was a common Eric Segal book. Paige points out that they shimmer in the light. They really do. Yeah. Didn't mean to chuck you onto the floor. There. And Megan says, Harry Potter would be mine. That makes me feel like home. Yeah. It's amazing how much influence Harry Potter had on so many people. And not just as readers, but also as writers. I think we're seeing that now that that generation of readers who grew up reading Harry Potter have become writers and readers in their own right. Really showed that there was still a place for books in the world. Abby Jean says, "Yeah, Megan, I've been thinking I really need to reread those soon." Okay, so that was the Cozy Christmas book tag. I feel like we went on a journey there. And Paige says, "Yes, Harry Potter is absolutely my feel like home book." Nice. That was a journey, wasn't it? Quite the journey. Now, the next one should go a little bit faster, I think. This is the 12 Days of Christmas book tag. So each prompt is themed off of a different lyric from the 12 Days of Christmas. So we're going to start with Partridge in a Pear Tree, your favorite standalone book. Now, I went ahead and went with my favorite standalone book of the year. And I had a couple of those. And one, I couldn't get my hands on a physical copy from the library, which is how I read it, because it's in a library that's like kind of far from my house. And it is on Kindle Unlimited, and I was going to put it on my Kindle, and I just didn't. Events overtook me. But that book was, I had two books three actually, I was going to share. And there was one that I read, and I knew it was awesome. Just I knew it was going to be a favorite for the year as I was reading it. The other one, I didn't really think of it as a favorite as I was reading it, or even right afterward, but it just really, really stayed with me for several months now. And I keep coming back and thinking of it at odd times of the year. And that's the one that is on Kindle Unlimited, and that's Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger. And it's kind of a dark romance, and I really, really, I enjoyed it while I was reading it. But like I said, it's just every once in a while, I'll just like start thinking about it out of the blue for no particular reason that I can think of. So I think that's a pretty good sign that it was very memorable. Abby Jean says, "That's on my TBR." Oh, well, if you don't like it, sorry. When you read it, you're like, "Does she like this?" I don't know about her. What a weirdo. Okay, so that was the one that kind of snuck up on me as being one of my favorites of the year. This is standalones, as I said. The other one that, even as Paige says, I have read that one, but I feel like I need to be in the mood to read it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the thing. As I was reading it, I kept trying to guess what was going on, and I liked it, and I enjoyed the reading experience. But it was only, a couple of weeks after I finished reading it, suddenly something popped into my head about it, and then a few weeks after that, something else. So it just kept coming back to me. And Abby Jean says, "I liked her Queens and Monster series." Yeah, so far that's the only book by her that I've read, but I do want to go back and read some of her other things because I did like it. And like I said, it kind of snuck up on me a little bit after I'd finished it and returned it to the library and everything. Now, the book I read that I knew was a favorite at the time I was reading it, and I was like, if this keeps going the way it's going right now, it's going to be one of my favorites of the year, and that is a debut novel by KT Hoffman. That's KT, the initials KT, not Katie, like Katie short for Catherine. And it's The Prospects, which is a queer baseball romance where you have a cis dude and a trans man, and it's Grumpy Sunshine. The cis dude is the grumpy, the trans man is the sunshine, and they play for a AAA baseball team in the Pacific Northwest. And yeah, it's a really good time. I really, really like this. And favorite standalone of the year. And I have one more. Now this one's kind of pretentious, and I'm not sure that it really counts as a standalone, but I think this was not published in the past year, but that's when I read it. Yeah, the copyright is 2022. It is a new translation of The Metamorphoses by Ovid. And that one is another one that I keep thinking about. But I don't know that it's fair to call it a standalone because, of course, Ovid was basing it on earlier works. And there's been so much written since Ovid wrote it like 2,000 years ago, there's been a lot of people responding to it. And what I like about it is not just the work itself, but also that it is in conversation like that. You have Ovid in conversation with the people before him, and people after Ovid in conversation back to Ovid. And Abby Jean says, Bunny by Mona, is it Awad? Awad. Mona Awad is one of my favorite standalones since you mentioned horror, which is not my usual genre at all. And if you like sci-fi, Project Hail Mary is amazing. Okay, I haven't read either of those. I did read Rouge by Mona Awad, and I like that. But haven't I hear things about Bunny, and I just go back and forth on whether or not I think I want to read it. And I mostly land on probably not, but you don't know. And I do like sci-fi. So Project Hail Mary, I've heard a lot of things about that too, and I will probably read it at some point, but I haven't gotten to it yet. Maybe when I'm ready to take a break from romance. And Abby Jean says Rouge is good too. I've read all of hers. I'd recommend the audiobook for Bunny. I really listen to a whole lot of audiobooks these days. And Paige's book chat. I don't know why I'm reading your whole hand. We know who you are. Your Paige. Paige. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern is my favorite standalone. Yes, Abby Jean Project Hail Mary is so good. Yes, The Night Circus. I really like that one. That's a really good one. I mean, there are a lot of good standalones out there. And but I was just thinking back over the past year, because otherwise we're going to be here for a good long while. Okay, so that was The Partridge in a Pear Tree. Two Turtle Doves is fictional OTP or favorite ship. I'm going to go TV on this one. Oh, Abby Jean says, I need to read The Night Circus. It's good. It's really good. There's another one. Was it The Starless Sea that she also wrote, which I thought I was going to like more than Night Circus, but I liked it well enough, but I really preferred Night Circus. And Megan says, my two favorite standalones are the ones I mentioned earlier, but then I found out they were both getting sequels. Well, as far as you knew, they were standalones. You didn't know they were going to just sneak in with more story on you. Okay, so yeah, back to the Two Turtle Doves, fictional one true pairing or favorite ship. And I'm going to go TV on this one because it's an excuse to talk about supernatural, which I will do whenever I can. Paige says, it's so good if you like very lyrical and beautiful writing. Yeah, my mom did not care for it. She said there's just something about the writing that she found kind of off-putting. Maybe it's well, I don't know. So, or maybe she's in the other room, so I better say this quietly. Maybe she just enjoys being wrong. No, nothing. She went to bed early. Normally she's downstairs and I'm upstairs, but okay. So my fictional OTP or favorite ship is from Supernatural. And my canon OTPs are Dean Winchester and Lisa Braden, and also Rowena and Gabriel. And Fanon, yeah, then we're going into Dean Winchester and Castiel, the angel of the Lord. And in terms of books, I don't have a specific favorite couple, OTP or ship, but I just made the note that it was any couple who demonstrate teamwork. Like they get together and maybe it's a fake relationship or maybe it's a project of some other kind. And they get together and they demonstrate teamwork and they figure out how to work together as a team. That's going to be the kind of pairing that I like to see. I think I'm specifically thinking a lot of fake relationships are kind of like that, like Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, where they were already friends, or The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center, where they start off, she really admires his work, and then he kind of turns out it's a rocky thing at first, and they have to learn how to work together to cooperate to create something. So that's cool. I like those kinds of stories. And Megan says one true pairing would be Sebastian and Eve from Wallflowers. Okay. Abby Jean says, I enjoy that kind of writing every now and again. Catherine M. Valente is an incredible author, in my opinion, but some people can't stand her. Would especially recommend the refrigerator monologues. Okay. Oh my goodness. Trying to find a blank piece of paper in here is a challenge and a half. The refrigerator monologues. And Paige says, putting it on my list, Abby Jean. I'm literally putting it on my list. And Abby Jean, awesome. I'll post an article to read alongside it in the Discord. Oh, nice. And then we can all print out the article and then fold it up and put it in the library copy of the book. I like to bring it full circle. Abby Jean says, smart. Okay, so that was my fictional OTP, Dean Winchester. Sorry, I got us off track. Hey, it's why we're here. So if you're talking about books, you're on the right track. If you're, if you're talking about what you have for dinner, you're on the right track. We're socializing here. So yeah, so that was Dean Winchester and Lisa Braden and Rowena and Gabriel from Supernatural. And then if you're talking about fan fiction, then probably Dean and Castiel. And any couple who learns to work together or work together on a project. Okay, the next one is, of course, Three French Hens. Favorite trilogy. Now, I changed that to an owned trilogy that I own. I got this at a library sale that I'm most looking forward to reading. And that is this Bellaterra series by Christina Dodd. Secrets of Bellaterra, Revenge at Bellaterra, and just Betrayal, presumably also at Bellaterra. Now, these are also step backs, but they're kind of like, they're not the fun kind. Well, I mean, they kind of are if you like real estate. You got these sort of, presumably that's Bellaterra. And then you've got, I don't know, vineyards. A lot of running around in and through gates. So I'm looking forward to this. Has anybody read these or not? This is contemporary Christina Dodd, not historical. Got this giant pile of books to my right. I'm going to have to start putting them back over here. Nobody? Okay, well, I am going to. Paige says I have not read those. Adding those to my list as well. Let me take a quick moment to, I think Secrets is the first one. It says, the three dynamic DeLuca brothers are tormented by their memories of the past. Brooding and sexy Rafe DeLuca has returned to his family's luxurious vineyard resort for one reason, to find out who attacked his beloved grandmother. His homecoming stirs up a long-ago feud, forcing him to work with Brooke Peterson, the woman he once seduced and betrayed, but never forgot. As the danger escalates and their passion threatens to consume them both, Brooke fights her treacherous longing for a man who can never truly share his life. Remembering how his love once shattered her, she vows that Rafe may possess her body. Whoa, maybe now. And but never again will she trust him with her fiercely guarded heart. The peril they face will either bring them together or destroy them both, unless they uncover the secret that will change everything. So it's like family secrets, wealthy people behaving badly. I love it. That's the first book, and it continues on from there. I don't know if each book focuses on a different brother or what. Yeah, it looks like the next book is about a different brother. So, yeah. Again, contemporaries. I know Christina Dodd. I have a lot of her historicals as well. And I think in the Discord we were talking about My Fair Temptress, I think. Oh, somebody was it Nicole? Somebody was looking for like reverse My Fair Lady, reverse Pygmalion, and that My Fair Temptress came up. I thought of another book to suggest to her, but I can't remember what it was now. Paige says, fabulous. That sounds good. Hey, If you want to do this, we can sometime in the coming months. If you want to do a buddy read, I'd be into that. Oh, for Abby Jean's sake and anybody else who cares, the year on this one, the middle book was 2011. First book was oh, also no, yeah, 2011. I guess she probably published them all around they all came out around the same time. And then the last one came out 2012. So yeah, publish them about 6 months apart each. So yeah, like I said, if you wanna do a buddy read at some point, I own these books, so whenever. Abby Jean says, thanks. The year helps me set my expectations and know what I'm getting into. Well, like I said, that 1982, but dysfunctional even by the standards of the time. So yeah, but yeah, I actually, and Paige says, gotta get my glasses out. Yes, we'll have to do a buddy read. Again, I actually own these books myself, so, and I own a lot of books, so I'm not worried about having to return them to the library or whatever. Okay, now I was doing this in fulfillment of the prompt for Three French Hens, favorite trilogy, which I changed to own trilogy I'm most looking forward to. So if anybody wants to share a favorite trilogy that they've already read, please do. And then the other trilogy that I'm looking forward to, and I sort of own it and I sort of don't, it's Joanna Lindsey. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Joanna Lindsey. And it is the Life Santerre trilogy. And I own the second two books. This is what happens when you're buying at library sales for like 25 cents a book. You end up with like the second and third books of a lot of series. So I have these two, the second and third. And the first one I had to get out from the library. And it has this kind of floral cover because it's a large print. I mean, this is like this is the first book. And here's a quick summary. In the year 2139, fearless Tedra Da'ar sets out to rescue her beleaguered planet Kistron from the savage rule of the evil Krad de Se Moor, experienced in combat but not in love. The beautiful, untouched Amazon flies with Martha, her wisecracking, free-thinking computer, to a world where warriors reign supreme, and into the arms of the one man she could never hope to vanquish, the bronzed barbarian Colin Lysanterre. And I'm not sure why we have this floral picture for this. Anyway, we got aliens, we got warriors. So that's the book I don't own. And then the other two books in this series, Keeper of the Heart, with a step back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. She'll see you tonight on a downtown train. And then this one. Oh yeah. Yeah. That hand knows what it wants. Oh no, Abby Jean says I DNF Warriors Woman. But the original cover is amazing. Huh. Well, I would suspect that I'm probably a woman of less discriminating tastes, so I might get something out of it after all. Oh dear. Well, I will go in. I mean, when you're reading about people being referred to as barbarians and whatnot, there is going to be a grain of salt kind of involved with that. So, Okay. One of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and do those two different trilogies, Abby Jean says I can be picky sometimes, LOL. Well, I'm not. Well, actually, I can be, obviously. But it's just what different people are picky about different things. So maybe you should read one of those Eric Segal books. Maybe you wouldn't throw them across the room. One of the reasons I chose to do two trilogies is that the next prompt is for calling birds, favorite fictional beast or character. And when Tara did this, she interpreted that as like vampires, werewolves, that kind of fictional beast rather than a specific character. And I decided to just roll with that. and I chose aliens. Bring me all the aliens. So that's kind of like why I decided to incorporate this trilogy into the previous question, because it kind of tied together. You don't always get to do that on these kinds of prompt lists. So yeah, I like to read about aliens and getting together with other aliens, getting together with human ladies, human men. Yeah. As long as they're sentient, obviously. I don't want to read about, yeah, Abby Jean loves aliens. She says, yes, I love aliens. Or she just says, love them. Anyway, yeah, I mean, as long as they're sentient, I don't want to, read about people getting with creatures that can't truly consent and that are like significantly dumber. Okay. Now we have another one that's a stack because we are on 5 golden rings. 5 golden rings. And that is just 5 golden books. And thanks to my vast collection of mass market historicals, can do. Oh, yeah. And I think I managed to get metallic covers on all of these. So I've got Teresa Medeiros, Charming the Prince, which is, oh, she's so pretty. Oh, look at her. Oh, look at that. And it is a step back. They're wearing all their clothes. Okay. That's a nice novelty. But, oh, and look at that, the purple flowers and the oh, hmm. And then this one is Ransom by Julie Garwood, which is primarily not gold, but there's gold on the spine. So I decided that if you're doing a stack, what you see is the spine. So I decided to just roll with it. And then the step back on this is, again, that's a good looking property. I'm not mad that it hasn't got a clinch because. And then Kathy Maxwell, Married in Haste, with you got the bells and the laser cut. And woo, 7 swans are swimming. Oh, those swans are geese. Anyway, they're swimming. Desperate Duchesses by Eloisa James. Friend of Tea and Biscuits with Karen B. And Dance of the Flame by Elaine Barbieri. Abby Jean says, ooh, Married in Haste. Is that a good one? I've been enjoying the Kathy Maxwell's I've been reading, and this is Dance of the Flame. Oh, yes. And that one is 1995, by the way. I figure the other ones you probably, she says, haven't read it, but it's pretty. Yes, it is. This is 1999. Also 1999. I hadn't, at least some of you have read Desperate Duchesses, haven't you? I haven't, but I hear people talking about it all the time, I feel like. 2007. Again, 1999. That was a good year for a gold book. Oops. My books are cascading all over the place. And we're getting a twofer. I'm harking back to the Christmas book stack. It's the pink and gold stack to match the pink and gold tree. I'm full service like that. They're just cascading everywhere. Okay. The controversial notebook hit the floor at some point. Goodness knows where my pen went. Okay, so that was 5 golden rings. Oh, I don't know what happened just there. Yeah, no. 6 geese a laying. Least favorite book. I'm going with of the year. And that was one I just read recently. The Night Guest by Hildur Knutsdottir, which was translated from the Icelandic by Mary Robinette Cole. This is Icelandic noir. It's no, no, no. I don't know why I finished it. My mother had wanted to read it as well. She DNF'd it because she's smarter than I am in many regards. It's not good. Uh, I kept thinking that something was going to happen that would justify what I was reading. It never did. There is a strong element of animal cruelty in this book. It is, yeah, there's nothing in here to justify the reading experience. There just really isn't. Doesn't have, I thought it was going to be interesting. It was not. Moving on. Seven Swans is Swimming is a book with water on the cover. And that is, I haven't read it yet, but The Next Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. I recently read The Last Mrs. Parrish. This is the sequel. The Last Mrs. Parrish. This is the sequel. The Last Mrs. Parrish was okay. It wasn't my favorite thriller ever, but I enjoyed it well enough. Yeah, Paige says animal cruelty is a no for me in books. I mean, if there is some broader point being made, I think that doesn't justify the cruelty itself, but justifies its presence in the narrative, then I can maybe go along with it. But no, just not in this book. No, just no. I kept thinking, no, just no can do. Okay, yes, I did read, what was it called? The Last Mrs. Parrish. This is a sequel. It was okay. I didn't love it, but I had a good enough time with it. And it has local interest because these books take place in a fictitious community on the Connecticut shoreline. And since I live in Connecticut, it's got some local interest in that. That kind of keeps me interested. So I will be reading it. This is out from the library, so you knew. And so I'll be reading it sooner rather than later. Ooh, we got a lot of people now. Some people got off work or something, hanging out. Okay, so that was Seven Swans is Swimming. Now 8 is 8 is 8 Maids a Milking, fictional food you wish you could taste. And this is harking back to Metamorphoses by Ovid. And that is, I would love to have me some ambrosia and or nectar. I remember when I was in 9th grade, we kind of did a unit on the Odyssey. Well, we spent a semester reading as much of the Odyssey as we could get to, which was about half of it. And when we kind of, the first week or so of the semester, we talked about the background of who these gods were and what the basic idea of the gods of ancient Greece. And that one of the things that came up was that they ate ambrosia and nectar, and that was what gave them immortality. But this one kid, Paul Verosi, says, they ate that all the time. Wouldn't they have gotten sick of it? And our teacher was just like, I don't know. Maybe it tastes really good. Anyway, he was just like, I thought Paul maybe had a point. Paul Verosi is now a cardiovascular surgeon in like Colorado or something. So his curiosity about the, whether or not ambrosia and nectar were boring was not a hindrance to his becoming academically successful in STEM. I mean, my assumption was that ambrosia and nectar probably tasted like whatever you wanted them to taste like. You had a lot of that going on in the Oz books, where food would taste like, you just like look at a sandwich and you'd eat it, and like if you wanted a chicken salad sandwich, it would taste like that. If you wanted an egg salad sandwich, it would taste like that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind trying some ambrosia and nectar and seeing what kind of what it tastes. I mean, now I am curious. Like, is it something that you could eat all the time? And I'm also kind of curious as to what it would do to like an ordinary mortal human. So if I ever get the chance, I'll get back to you on that. Megan says, that's a good one. Percy Jackson mentions Ambrosia too. Well, he would, because of course they're all is gods and goddesses of ancient Greece. So yeah, they're going to be chowing down on that stuff. Okay, now we're already up to 9 ladies dancing. Favorite dance between two characters. Now, I don't have a copy of this book to hold up because it was a library book and it was in demand, so I had to return it. People wanted to read it. And that is from Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. There's a scene where Stella and Luca, the main characters, have a dance, and there's kind of like a special context to it that's pretty cool. I don't want to say any more because if somebody's planning to read it, I accidentally spoiled something a couple of weeks ago, and I don't want to do that again if I can help it. And then I had another one, which is actually not my favorite dance between two characters. It's actually a dance among 3 characters. And that is from this book I just finished yesterday or the day before. Oh, Megan says, yes, no spoilers. I really want to read Lovelight Farms. Yeah, I had a good time with it. The Christmas You Found Me. This was a dance among 3 characters. I just finished this yesterday or the day before. And the dance is between Guy, that's really is his name, and Sienna, and Guy's daughter Emma. They are all dancing together to Christmas carols. Not even Christmas carols, but like bouncy Christmas songs, not like the religious type of carols or the slow moving kind of carols. But it's not Oh Holy Night. It's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is coming to town and like that. It's very cute. Both the book in general and that particular scene within it. Okay, so that's 9 ladies dancing. Wow, we're moving along here. And now 10 Lords Leaping. My all-time favorite book to movie adaptation. I actually brought along a couple. My honorable mention, and this one's an honorable mention. Abby Jean says, "Oh, I love Single Dads." It is kind of a tearjerker because his daughter is very, very ill, and yeah, and she needs a transplant, and that's kind of how he and the female main character end up getting together, is because he's trying to find a way to help his daughter. So it's good. It's nice. I liked it. Okay, my runner-up for favorite book to movie adaptation. I picked this one because I like the book. I like the movie adaptations. I liked both movie adaptations. And sometimes when a movie gets remade, the remake is kind of pointless or it's not very good or it's like, why did they even bother? The book is called The Manchurian Candidate by Richard Condon. And it was made into a movie in, I think, like 1962, I believe the first one came out. It was directed by John Frankenheimer. Starred Frank Sinatra and Janet Leigh, mother of Jamie Lee Curtis, among other things, and Lawrence Harvey. That's Lawrence Harvey right there. Anyway, so that was that. And then it got remade in 2004 with Denzel Washington in the same part that Frank Sinatra played. And I think that it actually brought something new to the interpretation, something updated and new to the interpretation of the original work. Which, when did the book come out? Okay, the original book came out in 1959, and like I said, I think the first adaptation was 1962 or thereabouts, and then this was 2004. And like I said, a lot of times when they remake a movie, the remake's not very good. But I thought it wasn't as good as the original, but it was still pretty good. And I think they had a reason for making it in 2004. It wasn't just, there was a good reason to update it and to bring it forward into a more modern time. So I like that one. But my favorite is Double Indemnity. Double Indemnity was written by James M. Cain, who also wrote Postman Always Rings Twice and Mildred Pierce. And this is a spiffy edition, illustrated. This is actually 2 books. This is because he wrote short books. These were kind of pulpy detective and mystery novels that weren't very long. And this is both The Postman Always Rings Twice and Double Indemnity, and it's actually even illustrated. See if I can find the illustration. Yeah. And the book was originally published in 1934, I think. No. Double Indemnity was 1936. And then this Double Indemnity was made into a movie in 1944. It's directed by Billy Wilder, and it starred Fred MacMurray and Barbara Stanwyck and Edward G. Robinson. It's really, really good. And Abby Jean says Harry Potter, of course, and the BBC Sherlock comes time. So, anybody else have favorite book to movie or book to TV adaptations they want to talk about? Okay, well, if something, oh, wait, Megan says, the new Percy Jackson on Disney is great. Yeah, I saw the one that came out a few years ago. I can't remember who was in it aside from Pierce Brosnan, but yeah, that was something that happened. Harry Potter, and I liked The Martian. I read that as that Paige said that. I read that as Paige saying that both she and Harry Potter liked The Martian. I don't know. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Abby Jean says, I watched some of that, Megan. Unfortunately, I missed the boat on Percy Jackson. Oh, yeah. Well, there was, like I said, there was a film adaptation, like, what, 10 years or more ago, and it wasn't great, but I have heard good things about the new one. And Abby Jean says, I just picked up The Martian from the Audible sale. And Megan says, oh, I read them in my 20s. You can enjoy them anytime. Yeah, I mean, I read them, I don't know when I read them. It must have been in my 40s. I couldn't have read them in my 20s. They hadn't come out yet. But I did enjoy reading them when, I think I read them about 10 years ago, so I would have been in my 40s. And Abby Jean says, oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I would say there's no reason why you couldn't read them now. Like I said, I had fun with them. But then I also have been wondering what ambrosia and nectar taste like for like a while now. So maybe I was just predisposed to enjoy those books. Okay, so that was 10 Lords of Leaping. And then we have 11 Pipers Piping. This is the favorite movie adaptation soundtrack, movie or television adaptation soundtrack. Now, I could have been popular and said Wicked. See what I did there? Because Wicked's in theaters now and it's popular, and there's yeah, but I didn't. Instead, I am going with the score. Megan's LOL. Abby Jean thinks it's funny. I think it's my delivery, and Paige says so as well. I think it's my delivery that really sold it. I mean, you could tell that I just had to make the reference, but I also felt deeply, deeply ashamed of it. So, okay, so what I actually ended up picking as my favorite movie adaptation soundtrack is Psycho. The score was by Bernard Herrmann. It is just absolutely iconic. The movie, of course, was Alfred Hitchcock. It came out in 1960 or 1961. It's based on the novel by Robert Bloch, which came out in 1959. And you may not be able to kind of think of the tune, the music from that movie off the top of your head, but if you ever heard it, you would probably recognize it because it's been used in like episodes of The Simpsons. It's been used in advertising. It's been used in pop culture pretty much ever since the movie came out. So that was the one I picked, was Bernard Herrmann's score for Psycho. That was 11 drummers drumming. Can anybody think of anything? Oh, Abby Jean says, oh yeah, Psycho. It's an excellent score. It's very well written, and it really, really does a lot to kind of enhance the movie experience. Megan says, great movie soundtracks are Lord of the Rings. Yes. but also the animated DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon soundtrack. There's a certain instrumental that still gives me chills, and I know the exact scene. Yeah, a lot of this, uh, the scores that were occurring to me were things like John Williams scores for like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and that kind of stuff, where it's actually original properties as opposed to adaptations. But Psycho is just iconic. It's yeah. I'll be sleeping well tonight after I take a nice relaxing shower. Okay, so that was 11 Pipers Piping. One more. One more. That was a lot we got through. This is, like I said, it's been a journey. Abby Jean says, I like it when they have full orchestras rather than just regular songs, or when they do orchestral uh, adaptations of popular songs. Like Bridgerton does that, and Westworld, they had like this full orchestra arrangement for like Paint It Black, and it was good stuff. And Megan agrees with Abby G. The full orchestra rather than just slapping. Yeah, Bridgerton did that. Yeah, rather than just slapping a bunch of popular songs onto a soundtrack. Although the Pretty in Pink soundtrack is pretty good. Of course, I was of an age to enjoy that when it came out. Yeah. Anyway, having a little moment there. Okay, one last prompt. Are we ready? Are we ready for the thrilling conclusion to the 12 Days of Christmas book tag? And unlike the carol, we're not going to go back and go through the whole thing all over again. 12 drummers drumming. And because that's the end of the song, it is the favorite book ending. And mine is the ending not to a particular book, but to an entire series. And we're back to Stephen King. And this is the first book of the Dark Tower series, The Gunslinger. I don't have the last book. I forgot to pick it up at the library today because I don't have my own copy of it yet. But the ending of the series, I liked. Some aspects of it I didn't like, but when it came to the story of the character Roland, the gunslinger, who was throughout the entire series, I really, really liked the way it ended. It is a controversial ending. Not everybody liked it. Some people were kind of put out, but I did like it. So that is my 12 drummers drumming. Does anybody have anything they want to share about their favorite book ending? People are thinking. Well, while you guys are thinking, I am going to just go ahead and mention something I've been thinking about doing. Won't be doing it until the new year, but I was thinking about, I'm going to continue to do these 7 o'clock Monday evening for my time live streams, because I'm really having a good time with them, and I hope other people are as well. Um, I'm also thinking of adding after the new year another live stream on the weekly, which would be Wednesday afternoons, from my perspective, Wednesday afternoons at 1 Eastern. And that would be midweek motivation. And that would be more like sprints, productivity sprints or reading sprints. And it's just so that people who are working from home or doing housework or reading or writing or crafting or chores or whatever it is, we could have sprints for people to talk about that and for people to like share encouragement and motivation. So that's something I've been thinking about doing, and I hope there's an interest for it, because I know I would probably enjoy doing that. Yeah. And then Megan says, the end of Lorraine Heath's Sins for All season 6 book series was memorable. All the characters showed up and it was so emotional and heartwarming. Oh yeah, I like it when you get to see everybody and you just kind of get to check in and have a big old shindig, wing ding. Anyway. Paige says, excuse me. Paige says, I like the Wallflowers ending for Lisa Clay. Is it Cleepass or Claypass? I think I must have uneven ears. Loved catching up with all the Wallflowers. So that's another thing where you kind of got to catch up with everybody cool. And Megan says, oh, yes, the wallflowers. The wallflowers. Okay, like I said, so I'm thinking of doing that Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, maybe. And that way, if you work from home or you have housework to do, or if you live in a different time zone or whatever, get together and do some kind of productivity sprints and encourage each other and maybe share some tips and tricks for motivation, something like that. Um, that would be in addition to, not instead of the Monday night live stream. Abby Jean says, yeah, I'd be down for some sprints. I might not be able to come to all of them, but it sounds fun. Yeah, well, if I'm doing everything, not everything, but if I'm doing things on a weekly basis, there's no way everybody's going to be showing up for every single thing that I do. That's people got stuff going on. I mean, I might not be able to show up for everything. I may have to cancel. Paige says, this was so fun, Sock. Looking forward to the next one. I'm down for sprints. Cool. Next Monday, at 7, I was thinking that we could either go back and sort of do the December wrap up for the thing that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. No, I guess that was just last week that we talked about the December bingo board. It's only my third live stream. Or and talk about what we're going to do for the January one, because I think Terry will probably have it up by then. Or maybe we can do that the first Monday in January. And next week, I do have all of those free historical romances I picked up at the library book sale in Danbury. What was it, a week or so ago? And maybe I could go through those like we did with the romance grab bag. These are a little more intentional. I do know what I picked up, but I don't necessarily remember. It's all set aside, so I can do that kind of reaction type video, unboxing kind of thing. Uh, yeah. Oh, Terry says a yearly bingo board releasing January 1st. Yeah, because I think for the monthly ones, she was releasing them, like the November one she released on October 28th. The December one was November 28th. So I don't know if she's also going to do monthlies or just the whole year or both or what. Anyway, I thought maybe we could get into that maybe the first week in January, the first Monday in January, which I believe is the 6th. And then next week I would just go through those books that I picked up. And Abby Jean says, oh, so excited for that. I really enjoyed doing the bingo board this month. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Oh, and that reminds me, I if anybody wants to get on board the kind hearts part of the challenge and leaving cards in, oh, Paige says, I have to sign off. Thank you for doing this, Sock. You have a wonderful evening. Yes, you too. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. It's always fun to have people showing up. And again, if anybody wants to have me place a postcard in a book, you can just DM me. Bye, Paige. Bye. Abby Jean says, bye, Paige. Thanks for hanging out. And so this Megan says, bye, Paige. Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Anyway, yeah. And again, if anybody wants to have one of these lovely cards put into the book of their choosing, just DM me with the book that you want it put in, what kind of card you want. Do you want florals, mushrooms, this moon, this sun, this anyway, yeah, just DM me and let me know what book you want me to put it in, and if you want there to be a message on it or just put blank postcard in a book. Yeah. And Abby Jean can tell you, I will send you lovely pictures of the process. Okay, so I think we've been at it for quite some time now. I think probably people are ready to have the rest of their evenings. So thank you all very much for coming again. And I will, oh, Megan says, oh, cool. Thanks for doing the postcards for us. Yeah, just DM me. Let me know if there's a book you want to put in, or just bye. And I will see you all, or not all of you, whoever's able to show up next Sunday. And Abby Jean says, thanks, Sock. Have a great night, ladies. Yes. So hopefully I'll see at least some of you next week. And good night, everyone. Whew.